absence of a father is a wound itself. I think that we can agree on that. But whenever we look at somebody like you who grew up without a father figure in your life, I would go as far as to say that maybe if your father had not passed away, maybe you wouldn't have felt isolated.
Boys are boys, men are men. You can't separate that. We all basically have that a need to be loved and accepted and affirmed.
Right.
And when you don't get that, it affects you. And if you don't start working on that early, it will follow you all the way into your 50s and 60s and even in your 70s if you don't deal with it back here.
Absolutely. For guys that experience verbal wounds, what would you say to them?
It hurts. It goes deep. It wounds. That is the reality of it. And if you are not careful, it can take you down a spiral hole because you hear you or this, then you turns to I in that.
We can't heal what we can't identify. We can't heal what we can't name. When it comes down to the type of trauma that we go through, that we've endured, as we get married, as we go to work, as we raise our kids, as we handle our finances, it shows its face everywhere, right? It just kind of pops up.
You have to come to the point that you're all wounded. Because if you ignore it, what's buried alive stays alive.
All right. What's up, Dad?
Hey, chilling.
This is episode 3.
Yes.
How you feeling?
Feeling fine.
We're shooting this
Feeling healthy.
on a fine Sunday night. Feeling fine, feeling healthy, feeling
good.
good, feeling great.
Good, feeling great.
Welcome everybody.
Can't complain.
Right?
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody.
How are you?
Oh, you just gonna welcome everybody watching. Okay, let me do this. Okay. Welcome everybody to episode 3, 1, 2, 3 of Lil R&R Podcast. I'm RJ. Well, I'm Rodney, but everybody calls me RJ.
I'm Rodney Sr.
Yep. So this is episode 3. We got a lot to talk about. But you asked me, you said, how am I doing?
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm cool.
Since you always asking me how I'm doing, how are you doing?
Oh, well, I'm doing just fine.
And I appreciate your concern about, how I feel. But I'm concerned about how you doing too.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm good. It's been a long Sunday. The last few hours have been a lot, making sure the kids are ready for dinner and ready for school, and Alicia's in there at the house, fixing Nuri's hair, and that's a whole thing because Nuri don't like to sit still. But once we finally got to the place where I was clear to come over here and start setting stuff up, I was like, man, I really do need some rest and relaxation right about now for real.
Yeah.
So I'm cool. This cigar is good. And what do we have to eat?
We have this is turkey strips seasoned with lemon pepper, dipped in some batter, and then deep fried.
So deep fried smoked lemon pepper turkey strips.
There you go.
I got you.
Yeah, there you go.
That
it is delicious.
That's your loving wife. My mom cooked up for us. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll try not to be too obnoxious with our chewing, but not making no promises because this stuff is delicious. It's so good. Shout out to moms for hooking us up.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about father wounds, right? Wounds from fathers. And my biggest thing is making sure that people know and understand, at least with your story, that even though you grew up in the church and your father passed when you were 9 years old, you had different father figures in your life,
Right.
and just so happened to be pastors, right? And for me, like, this was full transparency. This was a little bit difficult of a topic for me to talk about because I was fortunate enough not to really have father wounds, you know. But that's obviously not everybody's story. And so whenever we talk about father wounds and father figures, like, I I really do think that it's important that everybody understands, like, for humankind, black men, white men, just men of all races, ethnicities, they're born from a mother, and it took two to tango, right? You have a
Right.
mother and a father,
Right.
and I don't have to go through the birds and the bees spiel. If you don't know how procreation works, this is not the show for you. Um, but there's these two positions, these two key positions in every person's life. At least that's the way that God designed it, right? You have a mother and you have a father.
Yeah.
Someone like you, who you grew up with your mother and your father until your father passed away. So you have the mother in her position, but the father position has been vacated,
Yeah.
right? So there's kind of this open space that needs to be filled. And sometimes we see through various men's life, they fill that space with sometimes the right guy, sometimes the wrong guy. Sometimes that space is filled with that space may be filled with things that they see on TV or people on the street that they come in contact with, their other friends or big brothers, big sisters, whatever. But for you, that space just so happened to have been filled at some point by men who were ministers, right? Men who were pastors. So sort of take us through your journey of, like, after your biological father passed away when you were 9, what did you do to fill that gap in your life? And then and then and then, like, prior to these pastors coming to your life and kind of helping you to grow a little bit.
Yeah, like you said, my father died when I was 9.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pastor, and he passed. And man, I was, like I said, I was 9 years old. So when I got into, well, let me say this: I had 4 brothers.
Yep.
And 2 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And we all grew up in a 3-bedroom house. I don't know how we made it, but we did.
Yeah.
And so get into your teens, your hormones start happening, all that kind of stuff, another whole stage of life.
Oh yeah. How did your mom deal with 5 boys going through puberty and teenage years?
The only thing I could say was there were many nights when I opened up her door to tell her good night, she was on her knees.
That's heavy.
She was on her knees.
Thank God she was.
Yeah, and she knew she needed God. I mean, she loved the Lord.
Yeah.
So, but I think prayer really got her through it.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
My father had a pension, so she didn't work.
Okay.
There was a time that she did do a little odd job, but it didn't last long.
Mm-hmm.
But so during that time when I was growing up, I didn't have a male figure there in my life personally to help me, but decision making and give me understanding of what was going on with my body or my mind or emotions or that time in my life. So I kind of just learned on my own. Now, you have 4 brothers, so you had the oldest brother, but I can't really remember times that we had those kind of conversations. I just
So
vague.
For those that don't know, remind everybody that's watching, like, again, 5 boys, 2 girls.
Right.
And your oldest brother, how many years apart are you and your oldest brother?
I think about 7.
And you're out of 5, you're number 4.
Yes.
Right. So you have a younger brother underneath you.
Right.
So your oldest brother was 7 years ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever your father passed away, you were 9. He was what?
It was
14,
16, 14, yeah, right in there.
Okay, and teenage years.
Yeah.
I went to art school, so I'm not very good at math.
I'm not good at math either.
I don't want to be one of those guys that's
you better give me a calculator.
Because I was very quick, count on my fingers. Yeah, real quick. But, like, I would imagine that your oldest brother had to adapt in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think we all had to adapt, and I don't want to give up like we didn't do anything at all. But I know that we all had to adjust. I just don't remember those times. I try to remember, I don't, and I think it was mostly like on my own.
Okay.
really. And then I had friends in the neighborhood, maybe in church, but I still had to kind of figure out things on my own. So I started getting into drugs and that kind of thing. Then I accepted the Lord in my life at the age of 17. That's when everything changed. Okay. So that's when my pastor became a father figure in my life. This story is really good because my father, before he died, witnessed to my pastor.
Right. Okay. So hold on. So let's set up the geography here, because your dad, my grandfather, he accepted the call to ministry in Reno, Nevada.
Right.
Correct. So for a while, y'all were living in Reno, and after your father passed, y'all relocated back to Sacramento.
Right.
And the church that y'all attended once you moved back to Sacramento, that pastor knew your father.
Right, the ministry that I got saved under.
Right.
He
knew, the pastor knew your father.
Right.
So much so that your father told that pastor back in the day about Jesus.
Right.
And because I remember you saying that he was an alcoholic at one point, that pastor. And so that pastor got his life together and became a pastor in Sacramento. Meanwhile, y'all are down in Reno. Then your father passes and y'all relocate back to Sacramento.
Right.
Okay.
And I never will forget the moment we were on the church bus, and so he was talking to us. And he asked us where we were from, where our parents were from.
Yep.
And we said, well, my dad was from Monroe. He said, Monroe? We said, yeah, Louisiana. And he said, what was his name? He said, Walter Johnson. I mean, when he said Walter Johnson? We said, yeah. And tears swelled up in his eyes.
Yeah.
He was driving.
Make sure y'all didn't crash.
So
getting all emotional.
He was driving. So, but he said, your dad witnessed to me when I was alcoholic and kept telling me to get my life together, because he said family is important, told me to take care of my family. So he said, that's your father?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that's my dad.
Wow.
And from that moment on, he really took us under his wings, really. And so he kind of, fulfilled that father image in my life.
Right.
But on the other hand, he loved us, he was sincere, but there were certain areas that he just couldn't help me in, in growing up, because he was strict.
Okay.
A lot of things were sin.
Yeah, he was real legalistic.
Legalistic.
Yeah.
So we had, I was taking everything that he said was gold.
So he was one of those pastors. I remember you saying that, like, he was so strict that certain things that we take for granted now he considered sinful. So like going to the movies and dancing.
We couldn't wear certain clothes, style clothes.
I remember you saying y'all couldn't laugh too much.
We couldn't laugh too much; it'd be carnality. so it was
y'all walking around frowning all day long.
Yeah, I mean it was very legalistic, and that type of teaching took deep root in me, and I didn't realize how deep it got until I got later on in life. So. But he was, regardless of that part of him, I knew that he loved us, and I knew, that he was there for us and do anything for us that he could.
Yeah.
So, but it came a time that I felt like God was moving me on from there.
So, let's take a few steps back.
Okay.
I want to put a pin
That's
in
okay.
that. So you just said that there was a point to where you felt like God was moving you on. So there's a point where you had to sort of transition where you were. But previous to that, I want to spend a little bit of time just talking about your formative years. Because I'm thinking about the folks that may be watching this, maybe younger guys or whatnot, that are trying to figure out, how to navigate and maybe, again, fill in that position of a father with anything that they can get their hands on, whether it's father figures on TV or, people that they may meet in the streets, or sometimes it's teachers, and it may not always be a good influence, and sometimes it is and sometimes it's not, right? So if you can remember, I know this wasn't yesterday.
No, it wasn't.
I ain't trying to call you old or nothing.
You are.
No, just a little bit. If the shoe fits. But do you remember some of the figures or roles or men that you sort of put in that position? Like maybe it was your older brother, or maybe it was friends from school. Or what were some other things or people that you tried to fit in the spot of a father in your life? Do you remember?
Besides my pastor?
Yeah. Like before your pastor came, And
That's an interesting question because I honestly, being transparent, I really don't remember.
Okay. Well, that's fine. We can cut this part out then.
Yeah. I'm sorry. When I say I was on my own,
Yeah.
I was on my own.
So you felt pretty isolated.
Yeah. I felt
And
pretty isolated.
and again, we're talking about like father wounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
The absence of a father is a wound itself. I think that we
Yeah.
can agree on that,
Yeah.
right? Because as you're going through life, we kind of expect certain roles to be filled, and we expect, whether we know it or not, subconsciously, for the father role to be filled as well as the mother role to be filled. And like I said, I'm always going to be a supporter of people growing up in two-parent households. That can help it, right? But whenever we look at somebody like you who grew up without a father figure in your life, I would go as far as to say that maybe if your father had not passed away, maybe you wouldn't have felt isolated.
Yeah.
Maybe your father would have been the one to make you feel like you're part of the family and everything.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
I know before my father passed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a vivid image I have of him.
Mm.
And one time I came home from school and I was crying and I thought I flunked
Mm-hmm.
because they stopped putting A, B, C, D, E, F. They stopped putting checks.
Oh, okay.
So I thought.
So you freaked out. Okay.
So I was crying all the way home. But I would never forget the time he picked me up, set me on his lap, and explained to me what that was.
Mm-hmm.
But that little incident, I never forgot.
Yeah.
And I realized that he loved me
For sure.
for who I was.
For sure.
And I missed that
Mm-hmm.
after he was gone.
Okay.
So I don't remember anybody ever taking that place
Mm-hmm.
like that.
But there's something that you mentioned though, that as you were going through your formative teenage years, at one point, like you dabbled in the drugs, right?
Yeah.
And you weren't the only one. It's you and a few of your other brothers as well.
Yeah.
Right. Now, granted, like it's not like this happened, yesterday.
Right.
This happened in the '60s. You're teenagers in the
Right.
'60s. Of course, you did drugs.
Hey,
What? Well, no, I'm saying, like, if I was a teenager in the '60s, I probably would have did something myself. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
So it's like, but again, and we'll never know the answer to this question, but like, I have to ask, like, maybe if your father was there, he may have kept you from doing some of those drugs and some of your brothers as well. We'll never know,
yeah,
obviously.
Because if my father had not passed, we'd probably still be in Reno at that time.
Mm-hmm.
My life could have taken another whole different trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's just no way of knowing.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's why I say, like, we may never know, but
Right.
I do think that, like, I don't know, we just seen so many times where some kids get hooked on drugs, and not always, it's not a blanketed statement, but sometimes, and it kind of is the majority, that a lot of these kids that get hooked on drugs, sometimes their fathers are not there.
Right.
Or sometimes they live in, households that may have been torn apart. There's so many different reasons why people sometimes get thrown into that world.
And then having that void that was there.
Yeah.
And now that I look back at it, there was a void that wasn't filled.
For sure.
And that, I guess, subconsciously it really affected me because I didn't realize until I got older.
Right. And that's what I was saying. Like, and you put it, I like the way you put it, the void that was there, the void that manifests itself because of the absence of your father. Again, he passed away. It's not like he walked out, like he passed away.
Right.
So, but again, for whatever reason, that void is there, right?
Yeah.
And so now let's fast forward to where we put the pin in the conversation. So then you're in church, and this pastor is this father figure in your life, and because he's such a good man, he's such a good father figure, the things that he says are feeding you, and you're young, so it's kind of like whatever he says is gold to an extent, right? Because you've never had a consistent man since your biological father in your life.
Right.
So whatever he said, you pretty much ate it up. And like, you met Jesus at his church and everything. So I imagine the influence he had in your life.
He had a great influence.
Yeah. So then once you felt like, I remember you saying that you gave your life to Jesus when you were 17. And so how old were you once you feel like it was time for you to move on and transition to the next phase?
I think I was around 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Around 22. Because I began to desire something else, to hear something else, because what I was receiving wasn't working for me.
Sure.
And I began to kind of study on my own, just kind of read on my own, research on my own, and I began to see things differently. There was a person that would come to our church, an evangelist that would come to our church, and he would preach about grace. When he would leave, my pastor would kill everything he preached.
Okay. So you have two conflicting voices here.
And I was very conflicted on the inside.
Sure, I get that.
Because I thought my first pastor, what he was saying was gold.
Right.
But I began to see things a little differently.
So what was it like whenever you were ready to move on in your life? But and one thing I want to say is that like those years of 17, 18 to like 21, 22, those are really formative years, right? Where typically any other kid would probably be in college, right? But now you're not necessarily in a traditional university, but those years where people are going to school, going to college, and they're being shaped and molded into who they very well could be later on in life, right? You were at this man's church and you were learning and he was teaching you different things. And so I kind of imagine almost like a college professor that you kind of gravitated towards, right? And I'm saying these things because I want to make sure that people see the parallels here. Yeah. Sometimes it's really easy to think that what people in church deal with is totally separate from.
Sorry.
Okay. It's fine. We're keeping that in just so you know. Okay. Because that happens all the time. Yeah. All right. But I'm saying like it's important for people to know that just because we go to church that we're not aliens. Like we still deal with the same father figure issues and everything like that. Human beings
are human beings.
Yeah, for sure.
Boys are boys, men are men. You can't separate that. I mean, whether you're in church or out of church, we all basically have that human need to be loved and accepted and affirmed.
Right.
And when you don't get that, it affects you. And if you don't start working on that early, it will follow you all the way into your 50s and 60s and even in your 70s if you don't deal with it back here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it's important that we get that affirmation because I grew up wanting that affirmation. And I didn't get that affirmation.
Yeah. So even once this pastor was in your life,
I still didn't get the affirmation that I needed. Yeah.
Okay. So what prompted you to want to move on?
It's a thing now that I say my menu changed. Because what he was teaching, it just wasn't. It didn't satisfy my palate. It just didn't do it. So again, I began to search out what would satisfy me, give me understanding. So that's why I started questioning a lot of stuff that he was saying.
And what was that conversation like whenever you told him?
My second oldest brother was on his marriage, the day he got married, and we was out on. I think I still got the picture. We were out on the lawn because somebody took a picture.
Okay.
And we were engaged in conversation, and I was letting him know how I felt. And
they took a picture of you.
Yeah, and somebody took a picture.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow, you still have that picture?
I have to find it. I think it's in the house in my case, chest. And somebody took a picture, and I was like, when I saw the picture, I was like, oh wow, I knew exactly what was going on.
So, is this you? Because you went through different phases in your life, and I'm just trying to picture, just for my own sake, and I'm being selfish here, so just go with me. But was this Jerry Curl Rodney? Was this Afro Rodney?
This is. Afro low cut.
Rodney. Okay. Oh yeah, I gotta see this picture.
No.
I gotta see this picture.
No, it wasn't that.
The only pictures I've seen of you have either the Jerry curl or like the box cut. You know what I'm saying?
No, it wasn't even the box cut. It was just.
This preceded the Jerry curl days.
Yeah. This is no Jerry curl. I couldn't wear Jerry curl then.
Oh, that's right. You would have been damned to hell. That's crazy. That's tough.
I would have been worldly.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're having this conversation and you're telling him that you want to move on, that you felt in your heart that God was telling you to go to move on somewhere else, right? So what was his reaction to that?
Well, of course, every pastor wants people to remain, and I get it. And then plus, it was a different type of bond because of my father.
Yeah.
So he didn't want me to go, and so but I told him I was leaving, and I felt like I had to go, and he was hurt when I told him that, and then he spoke negative into my life. He spoke negative into my future, and at that time it was told me God was not going to bless you. So I was hurt to hear that, and then the back part of my mind, I'm saying, I've seen this man pray for people get healed, and all these things that God did through him in his life. That I was with him. Maybe what he's saying is real. So I left.
That's interesting.
Even though he said that, I still left.
Yeah.
So about maybe 6 months after I left, it didn't happen like he said.
It didn't happen like he said. So he said that God wasn't going to bless you.
Right.
He probably said some more things that hurt you.
He may have, but that was the only thing that stayed with me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted his blessing.
Yeah. And so now you're moving forward in life, like any young man does, right? You're moving forward in life. And where did that transition take you? Where did you end up going?
I ended up going to Muskegon, Michigan.
So you went from Sacramento to Michigan.
Yeah.
You went from beautiful sunny weather
to cold
to waist deep in snow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting choice. That's how I know you were following God.
Yeah.
That's how I know, because a lot of times God tells us to do something that feels like it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Was, here I am in California, and then got to go to Michigan with all that cold.
Yeah.
Today I can't do the cold thing.
So for those that don't know, you went to Michigan to be a part of the ministry of the pastor that would visit your church in Sacramento.
Right, because he was the one that would preach grace.
Right. And it fed you more than what you were receiving.
Right, and the more he came, I think he came maybe about 2-3 years to our church, and the more he came, the more hungry I became about what he was preaching.
Okay.
So that's why I kept searching. He was pouring gas on the fire.
Right.
And so I decided, I felt like that's what God wanted me to do.
And so I don't want to skip over.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me clear my palate. I'm over here chewing. It's kind of hard to do this and chew at the same time. Okay. I don't want to skip over the conversation, the moment that you and your previous pastor had, because that inflicted you. His words inflicted you. His words created a wound in you, right?
Yeah.
And so, whereas some people, and he said those things out of his own emotions, his own disappointment, right? So there's a little bit of grace there for him, because he loved you and he didn't want you to leave, and you mentioned that. But like, what do you say to the guys that are trying to survive, or trying to live life knowing that they've been wounded by their father, whether it was verbal, like you experienced, whether it was physical, or sometimes maybe even worse? Like, what do you say to those guys? And I was going to say this for a little bit later, but like, for guys that experience verbal wounds, what would you say to them?
It hurts. It goes deep. It wounds. That is the reality of it. And if you are not careful, it can take you down a spiral hole, because you start looking at, you start saying, you hear you or this, then you turns to I am that. So you start looking at yourself.
Yeah.
I found out that there is still hope when that happens.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of facets about this, but it's you. There is hope,
Yeah,
and there is healing,
for sure.
and I think for me, since you're asking me this question, my healing came when I went to God honestly how I felt, and I just threw it on the table. You know, I threw my anger, my anxiety, my depression, my despair. I mean, all of that was in me. I let Him know how I felt, and I gave it to Him. Now, when I gave it to Him, it didn't happen overnight. It was a process.
So, with that being said, hold on.
Okay. I'll give you time to swallow.
My bad. So, with that being said, with it having to take time, right? Well, let me say it this way. Let me rephrase it. I have a better way to ask. So, I do think that it's important to remember that the choices that we make are fueled by our experiences, right? The words that we say are fueled by our experiences, what's been told to us, and it somehow shapes the way that we think, and it shapes our psyche, and it shapes the way that we interact with other people, the people that we love, the people that we don't. Is all sort of shaped by our previous experiences with other people. So, I remember you telling me well, let me ask you this. When your pastor said what he said to you about you not being blessed and God's not going to bless you and just kind of speaking negatively about your future, I remember you saying that he experienced something similar in his life previously. Can you talk a little bit about
because I don't know a whole lot about it, but when he was ministering, and he would mention it about the church he came out of. They didn't want him to leave.
Okay.
And they spoke the same thing to him.
So
it's amazing.
So there's a almost a perpetual cycle that's happening, right?
Yeah.
What he did and experienced is now happening to him, but now his role is in the role of the influencer, and you're in the role of the influenced, where he was, and now he has to make a choice whether to do the same thing that happened to him or not. And he ends up repeating the cycle, right? So, okay, so that's where that wound came in, and like I want to make sure that I'm breaking this down on purpose.
And
so
I don't
that
think he even. I don't think he even realized what he did. I really don't. I know where he came from, but I really don't think he realized that he was repeating what he went through.
Can you talk a little bit about why it's so important for not just biological fathers, but father figures in general to choose their words carefully whenever they're talking to guys that look up to them, guys that they're influencing, guys that they're around and mentoring? Like, we hear all the time about how powerful our words are, but can you just break down like why it's so important for us to be mindful of what we're saying?
Yeah, when you're growing up and you want to hear, your words are important because your words are either life or death. Actually, when you're growing up, I look back now, was like I said earlier, I needed to hear affirmation, and when you hear the opposite of that, or the negativity of that, and you're looking up to this father figure, and they're saying these things to you, it does something deep within you. I don't know all the intricate psychological effects of it, but I know it affects you.
Talk about the difference between correction and more or less like attempted condemnation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, of course, correction is important, but I think it's how you correct.
And
I think
why you're correcting.
you correct. I think if you correct your son, then tell him, give him a lesson with that.
For sure.
Don't just say you sorry. You're just like your grandfather or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to build them up.
For sure.
Because I could have done the same thing to you in many times, but I realized I can't do that to you.
Yeah.
Why would I want to do that to you and what I went through?
That's right.
So I made sure, even though I corrected you, even though I didn't have to beat you a lot, Maybe I shouldn't say beat.
Hey, you're going to have CPS knocking on the door. I'm a grown man. They still going to be knocking.
You know, I think I want to whoop you maybe 5 times in your life, maybe. Yeah.
You are not finna make people. Hold on, because you did this before. Okay, you're not finna make people think that all you had to do was just cough and I'd start crying.
No,
okay,
that's not what I was getting ready to say. No, I'm just saying that when I would talk to you and I would take my voice to a certain level,
sure,
or you would just break down.
Yeah.
You would just break down, just boo-hooing. And I said to myself, I can't whip this boy. My words is whipping him.
Okay, now, what, how old was I? I wasn't 16, 17 when this happened.
No, you weren't 16, 17.
I'm just trying to make sure people know, hey, I'm still.
You was under 10. But even as you got to your teens, when I would say things to you, I always sensed that you did not want to disappoint me.
Sure, yeah. Still to this day.
Yeah, and so when I sensed that, I said, well, I need to nurture that. I don't want him to think I'm disappointing him. I wanted you to understand this is life. You're learning.
For sure.
I was trying to prepare you for your future. And look how you turned out.
Hey, not too bad. Not too shabby, might I add. Could be worse.
Yeah. Well, look how you turned out. I'm very proud of how you turned out.
Thank you, Daddy.
Which I knew that once you left home, you know, on your own, you was doing things you shouldn't have done.
Yeah, we'll
but yet you turned out, another day. But look how you turned out overall.
Yeah.
You know, but I wanted to always have the frame of mind of building you up and encouraging you. Even when I had to correct you, I would still turn around and tell you why.
For sure.
Because I think you needed to understand why.
Yeah. And I do think that there's, like, anytime that there's communication happening between two people, there's what's being said, the reception of what's being said, the interpretation of that, and then the response, right? And it's this ongoing cycle. In this case, again, talking about this pastor and what he said to you, he received what you said, interpreted it, but he made the choice to instead of like blessing you and wish you nothing but the best and asking how he can be helpful. I think that he went through a response based off of his experience, right? His own trauma, his own wounds, and he perpetuated what he received. And so I do think that if we can frame what father figures or fathers do or say to us with those lens, sometimes it may be a little bit easier for us to interpret what's being said and why it's being said. That way it doesn't take away the pain.
Yeah.
But hopefully that affects our response, I think.
Yeah, and I want to add this because, he's well up in age now. And I talked with him not too long ago, and he was telling me a lot of things, but I told him, I said, listen, even though I knew in my mind all the stuff that we went through, but I told him, I said, I appreciate your part in my life.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being who you are. I appreciate the foundation that you laid in my life. He got real quiet. And I wanted to inject that because even though he wounded me, I didn't hold that against him.
And that's easier said than done, I'm sure.
It is.
Like, because I do think that it takes God for people to be able to heal from those wounds and to be able to treat their fathers or father figures with love and kindness after they may have been hurt by them. But that wasn't the only time for you.
No,
right?
It was not.
As you so once you, for those that don't know, and I'll try to tell the story, but feel free to jump in if I get anything wrong. But once you transitioned, you moved to Muskegon, Michigan, where you froze, and but you were traveling with this pastor, with this preacher, for 20 some odd years.
Yeah, 26 years to be exact.
And you had the chance to go to Israel. You had a chance to travel the world and travel all 50 states, like preaching God's word, right? And being a part of his ministry. So talk to me about his influence that he had over your life.
I think he had such a great influence in my life. I know my first pastor, he laid a lot of foundation, but I don't think I would be the person that I am now had it not been for my second
Okay.
Spiritual father.
Okay.
He was really a father. He had 5 children of his own.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not, like you said, we travel the country, but sometimes we didn't preach all the time. Sometimes he would just take us.
Yeah, just take you somewhere.
Just take us somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
To see the sights and, to see different parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me about what fatherhood was like. He taught me about providing for your father. He wasn't
Providing for your family.
I'm sorry, for your family.
Yeah.
So he wasn't just he wasn't unbalanced.
Yeah.
He was balanced.
Sure.
Because when
the
it
best
came,
that he could be.
yeah, when it came to things of God, he was gung ho. But when it
Mm-hmm.
came to things of natural life and family, he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He taught us how to build and how to remodel and all that kind of stuff. What just happened to death?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
but he was that type of man that I would never ever forget.
Yeah.
Because he had a great influence on my life,
Mm-hmm.
which, I know you call him Papa, because he loved you. He loved you a great deal.
He was, even though he wasn't my biological grandfather,
Right.
it very much felt like he was my biological grandfather, for sure.
Yeah, he loved you. And then when you got older, and I would always keep him up on what you were doing. He would just say his famous words was, "That's tremendous."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he was really, man. He passed away, a few weeks ago, and I almost dream about him almost every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was such a inspiration in my life, such an encouragement, and he gave me that affirmation that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think God strategically placed him in my life. For a lot of reasons.
So, whenever we're talking about the affirmation that you needed, careful.
Okay.
Whenever we're talking about the affirmation that you needed and how these men provided that for you, I do feel like most men are looking for some sort of affirmation from somebody that they look up to, right? Yeah. Whether that's in their career or whether that's at home, or whether that's in sports, whatever. Like I think that's how God just kind of built us, right? We seek some sort of affirmation to let us know that we're on the right track, to give us confirmation, to give us correction, all of those things. And you were fortunate enough to receive that from men who were good men. Yeah. Right? But that's not always everybody's story.
You're right.
Right? There's some guys that are seeking for that affirmation from the wrong people. What would you say for somebody that may be receiving or looking for affirmation from the wrong source?
Oof. Can you reframe that question?
Is the drink kicking in? Okay. So because you received affirmation from godly, upstanding, good men, right? They showed you how to do manual labor. They showed you what it meant to be a dad, what it meant to be a father, what it meant to be a husband, all those things. You got positive affirmation that built your life up, and we can see the fruits from that. Yeah. Right. The affirmation that they gave you showed up when you got married, when you had kids, when you have grandkids, when you're doing your best to make finances work, when you get in arguments with your wife, like all of that stuff. The affirmation that you got fed into that. Can we agree with that? Yeah. But for the guys that don't get that type of affirmation, you got affirmation whenever you were doing things on a certain positive trajectory. Some folks get affirmation when they're doing things on the wrong trajectory. Yeah. But they're getting that affirmation because that worldview is skewed to think that if I do X, Y, and Z, even though it's not going to pay positive dividends for me, this person I'm looking up to thinks that I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. Right. So what do you say to somebody that is receiving affirmations from a source that is not a positive influence in their lives because they're doing things that are being affirmed, but it's going to lead them down the wrong track?
Well, see, what do you do? I mean, what do I say to them? I mean, if they are respecting the words from that father figure,
it's just kind of hard to shake, or
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends on the person.
Yeah.
It's hard
That's fair.
for me to answer that.
That's fair.
Because if they're receiving and they're thinking, they're doing the right thing because that's what's been instilled in them, and I think you hear stories of people that going down that road, but then something happens in the middle of the road. They may say this. They start saying, "I don't know about this." I personally believe this is me personally. I think it's a God factor. Because some people, some men realize, I don't want this is not getting me anywhere. And I think that they start questioning certain things, and things start coming into place in their lives, which causes that really affirms what they're thinking is true. And I think people who are on that trajectory, I think God, there is no cookie cut answer to that.
Sure.
Me.
So
because everybody's so different.
It sounds like what you're saying is most times there will come a point in their lives to where some people call it their conscience, but we know that that's really the Lord speaking to them, saying what you're doing is going to lead you down a certain path, or what you're doing is not going to reap the benefits or the results that are going to be beneficial for you to have a sustainable, quote unquote, successful life, whatever that means, right? So am I correct in interpreting what you're saying? Like, there's going to come a point where they're going to have to make a decision to be like, yo, what I'm doing right now is not really making much sense.
I think that decision comes in so many different ways, so many different facets. Like I said, everybody's different. I think as human beings, I think we kind of, to some degree, know what is right, what isn't, what's working, what isn't working. I think there's a hunger that we have on the inside of us to really do what is right.
Yep.
I just think that comes in different ways in people's lives.
Sure.
It's hard for me to pinpoint to say it comes like this or that. I don't know.
Well, one thing I did want to mention was that I appreciate the fact that you had a certain level of boldness whenever it came time for you to transition from your previous past, because you felt the same thing when for the second father figure in your life, you felt similar, that after the 20 some odd years, you felt like it was time for you to transition, right? I would imagine that wasn't easy, right? Like, I would imagine that took a certain level of bravery to potentially, on both ends, on both sides, both times, to possibly disappoint these men who have fed you and given you so much of what you needed over the years.
Yeah, that was a real hard time for me, because that's the transitioning was when God was calling me the pastor.
Okay.
I didn't want a pastor.
Yeah.
I fought tooth and toenail because I knew what pastors went through. I didn't want nothing, nothing to do with it. Okay, I was happy assisting.
Sure.
I was happy being behind the scenes. I was not. I did not want to do that.
That's where I get that from. Because being on this side of the camera is not my thing. It's not my bag.
So that was hard for me to tell him I was leaving. And it was hard, and there was a lot of factors involved in that because, your mother, she played the organ. So when we left, the organist left.
Oh yeah, so he was losing.
Yeah,
he was losing more than just you.
And he was more of a preacher. I was a teacher.
That makes sense.
So that was hard.
Yeah.
For me to tell him, and I still see his face.
Yeah.
In his office. When I told him I was leaving, but I had to go.
Yeah. And so, what was his response?
He never said anything negative to me in my face. It was after I left.
So you tell him that you're leaving, and
he just said, okay. we're gonna pray for you when in the service.
Mm-hmm.
And, so he did. He prayed for me and my wife. But I knew he was hurt.
Yeah.
It's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
That's real rough. But I had to do what God was telling me to do, and I started hearing a lot of things that were being said. I had doors opened, across the country, and people's churches, and all those doors all automatically they suddenly closed, which affected me financially. But I knew why they closed. And so I had to really take a deep breath and say, all right, and I guess this is part of the package, in obedience. So I just sucked it up. And, it was rough for my wife and I. It was rough. But God saw us through it. So I had to regroup my mind and realize where I was. And I realized, regardless of what I heard, and I knew what I heard wasn't just
people talking.
No, this is because of what was said. I knew it had to come from that. But I just had to do what I had to do.
Yeah. So you find out that the pastor that you looked up to may or may not have been kind of prohibiting your progress from behind the scenes and kind of saying certain things, again, from his previous experience, right? But I remember you telling me at some point that he also dealt with a similar situation. Right. Whenever he was transitioning from his previous pastor.
Yeah.
Right. So again, we kind of have this perpetual cycle.
Yeah.
Right. Where these influential men have the choice to either to build up or to tear down. Right. And so it's like when we get to those places, and we already talked about, how men of influence can make the choice to, instead of like tearing people down, that look up to them to build them up. But how did you feel when you kind of put two and two together that your second father figure wasn't really in support of your transition?
Gee, I can't describe the pain of that.
Now is this post Jerry curl, Rodney? Like I have to track according to the hairstyles.
Well, when I got my second father, I can wear Jerry curls. I can dress
at this point, there's a little bit more freedom, right?
Yeah. Oh, I had a lot of freedom.
A little more liberation. Yeah. So at this point, you full-fledged Jerry curl.
Yeah.
You're staining your collar. You're staining the couches that you sit on.
Are you trying to?
No, I'm just asking questions. I didn't have a Jerry curl, Dad. I didn't grow up in this era.
What do you mean staining?
Like you've seen Coming to America.
It wasn't like that.
When they get up from the couch and there's like. I'm just asking.
It wasn't to that degree.
Was yours that damp?
Well, it was damp on my collar of my shirt.
So you were ruining your shirt collars on a regular basis
and
at this
coat
time.
suit collars. It wouldn't ruin. I would take it to the cleaners, but collars it was definitely on there.
They hated to see you coming.
Yeah.
Your shirts was. But the dry cleaner was making a fortune off of you.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Okay, so again, this is how I track the progress in your life. Because I've only seen pictures.
I got you.
Okay, so you find out, and by this point, the time that you feel like you need to transition, by this point, you cut the Jerry curl off. Because this is the 90s at this point.
Yeah.
Right? But you still... Yeah. It was late 90s.
Yeah, okay.
Late 90s.
Yeah. Late 90s, yeah.
You had a couple gold teeth, couple gold caps.
I had two.
I'm not lying. Tell the truth. I'm not lying.
I had two gold. In fact, my sister, she was, people know now this is public. She was married to, BB. So she was with Vicky Winans.
Vicky Winans.
Yeah. So I met her and we was in a limousine going to a concert. And so I was smiling. So she told me, why does everybody in Texas have gold teeth?
It was a thing. Hey,
it was a thing.
To this day.
It was a thing at that time.
It's a thing now.
Yeah.
Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah, I don't want gold in my mouth no more. I can't.
I understand.
Yeah. I've been past that.
I've been thinking about taking a trip to Houston and getting some bottoms.
Son.
What?
I'm telling you right now. If you get a bottle full of gold, I'm talking about you.
Why?
I'm just saying.
Why? You did it.
No.
I can't pay homage to my old man.
I had 2 teeth in the front.
That's cool.
I didn't have a whole grill at the bottom now.
So if I get 2, you're gonna give me your blessing?
No.
That's crazy. Now, why won't you give me your blessing if I go? I know that we're going off topic here.
I know we're way off topic.
But we'll get back to it. But
I'll just tell you, I don't like it.
Why?
I just don't.
But you had it.
So that was back in the day.
So if bell bottoms came back,
you know what? Let me tell you this.
If bell bottoms and platforms, if the Jerry Carol came back and I said, Dad,
let me tell you this.
I want to wear a Jerry.
Let me tell you this. It's your mouth. It's your teeth. If you want to wear gold, if your wife loves it,
yeah, we were
go
talking,
for it.
Me and wife, we were talking about doing it together. So like, if we came in the house one day and I'm on something, yeah, I'm showing you.
I won't have to say nothing, but my wife, your mother, she will.
She might like it.
I don't think so.
You don't think Gayla would want to get some golds in her mouth?
No, she's not going to do that, son.
I'm looking for affirmation here.
Some people love it.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
More power to them. I'm past that stage. We can't do it.
This is probably the point where the wiki's starting to kick in.
Yeah,
but it's fine. Okay, so let's get back to what we were saying. Outside of the gold teeth and the Jerry curl.
Yeah, about about his reaction about
your reaction.
Okay.
So your reaction, once you kind of put 2 and 2 together and drew the dots, that your second father figure, third father figure in your life.
Second.
Well, outside of if we include your dad, your biological dad, the third father figure in your life may have been saying some unsavory things because he was disappointed, and we drew the connections that he went through the same thing whenever he transitioned his life. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, I was very hurt. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was just cut off. Mm-hmm. Completely cut off.
Say more about that. So when you say cut off,
no phone calls, no encouragement, no "I'm with you" thing, just cut completely off.
I would venture to say that it's maybe a little bit worse because this was a pastor of a congregation. Like you were cut off not only from him but from people, I would imagine, that you had good relationships with, people that your kids had good relationships with, right? So
you don't remember that time?
I do, but we don't have to go into all that because there's going to be yet another moment where you get it.
We'll get into that later. Okay, but
go ahead and say it. It's fine.
Well, because we told you. Your mom and I together told you and your sister.
Granted, I was like 8 years old.
You were older than that.
No, it was not.
Were you 8?
Yeah, this happened in 98, 99.
No, it happened in 2000.
So then I was 9.
Okay, well.
Okay. That matters because I don't need people thinking I was 18 years old when you tell this story.
No.
It matters. Go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead.
But when we sat down together and told you about we were starting the church, and we said, I was telling you the Lord was moving me such, and you said, Dad, it'll be cool. Dad, are you sure you heard from God? I said, yes, son.
Hey, I had to be sure.
Yes, son. I heard from God. And then we tried to comfort you, because I know you were being separated from friends and that
was
kind of thing.
That was traumatic.
That was traumatic.
Yeah, it was like moving from a school where you had friends that you grew up with your whole life.
And we knew it affected you and Didi a lot. Well, Didi had that, but really you.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah, she didn't care.
Yeah.
She didn't care at all.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was hard. That was especially the first year. It was hard because I was hearing stuff, and I'm the type of person that I don't believe everything I hear, but some things that I heard, I knew it had to be.
And so, I would imagine that as you're hearing these things, you're seeing his face.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it was rough.
But one thing that I appreciate was that with me, but essentially this was an adopted grandfather, right? One thing I appreciated was that for me, there was times he would want to still take me fishing.
Yep.
You didn't stand in the way, even though he said certain things that hurt you, like you never stood in the way of me. Sometimes he would take me out of town. We would travel. I would get a chance to spend time with him because I loved him as well.
Yeah.
Right. And you never stood in the way with that.
Never did.
There was times we would still, for holidays, like go over to his house and you know what I mean? And I was oblivious to until I got to a certain
you didn't really
age.
know all the detail what was happening.
Yeah, I probably still don't know all the details, right? But like I appreciate that you and mom still had the love and the integrity to not stand in the way.
My thing was, we realized that, the saying at that time was, where God's taking you, everybody can't go with you. Mm-hmm. And I understood that. Mm-hmm. So I just said, I'm not going to deprive you of that. Mm-hmm. He was still like a grandfather to you.
For sure.
We're going to do that. And we did. We go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we thought that was the best for you all, even though we knew what was going on, but we didn't want y'all to. We didn't want to say no, you can't go. That wasn't our makeup.
So you probably get to a point to where in your life, because like you said, he just passed not long ago this year. You get to a point in your life where you go through different phases in life. Hairs are turning gray. Your kids are growing up. You have grandkids now, right? Yeah. Time passes by, and it gets to a point to where this father figure in your life, he gets old, right? His health starts to decline.
Yeah.
He starts losing weight. He's transitioning. Right. And we're not talking about him transitioning to a different church or different phase. He's transitioning to a different life.
Yeah.
You told me and I want you to tell me more about this. You mentioned to me before about a conversation that you all had where he didn't say much, but there was a mutual understanding there. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
His latter days, I would call him every week. Talk with him. We would laugh, talk about old times, and he was, he was a very jolly person.
He was. He was.
And I think one time
he was a ton of fun to be.
Yeah, he really was. He taught me how to laugh.
Because before
I couldn't laugh.
He really.
I mean, it sounds strange, but he taught me how to laugh.
It's not that you didn't know how to laugh.
Yeah.
But you had to hold it in.
Yeah.
In your former days.
Yeah. He would he enjoyed life. He really did. But there was a time we had a conversation. I said, people go through things. We don't understand why it happens, but it happens.
Yeah.
I said, at the end of the day, God's purpose is worked out in that. And so we just have to move on, love each other, and move on. It doesn't make any sense to hold things against each other. How people hold things against each other. It doesn't make any sense. You got to move on, especially when you look back at it and you see, at the time, yes, it was tumultuous, but now you see, had you not gone through that, there's some things in life you would never learn now.
For sure. Oh, yeah, that's good.
So without him saying, "I'm sorry,"
Yeah.
he said it.
Yeah. You could see it in his eyes.
I could see it in his eyes.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, "Look, I appreciate every single thing you did for me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
Everything."
And that's one of the things I appreciate so much about you is that, like, you've always been about that. You've always been about integrity. You've always been about just showing love, even when it may be inconvenient for you, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
buddy.
showing love when it's not the easiest thing to do in that moment, and that's a very difficult thing to do. Not everybody's able to do that.
God has graced me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I've been through some situations where, even right now, things happened years ago. If I'm not careful, I can digress back into the emotional part of that,
Mm-hmm.
and the emotions start rising up again. I refuse to go there
Mm-hmm.
because I realize all of us are flawed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how God uses the person, how much you have, who you are, your status in life. All of us are flawed. All of us as human beings are flawed.
And that's a tough thing for people to swallow if they don't really know about, like, what it means for the.
Do you need some air? I'm getting all the air. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
sure.
didn't mean to be
Yeah,
selfish.
why not? Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, I've been over here patting myself down.
I know you.
Like I'm preaching the sermon. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm
sorry I didn't turn it to you earlier.
Amazing. Wow,
okay,
thank you. That shows how I love you because I didn't say nothing. Loving even when it's not as convenient.
Yeah.
Dang, what were we saying?
Yeah, we got. Oh Lord.
Help! What were we saying?
I was talking about.
Shaking his head.
Because
especially with the forgiving, I assume the ability to be able to see the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where you were.
Yeah. Okay.
Where you go from here, I don't.
Facts. No, that's real.
I mean, I was able to, regardless of what happened in the past, I did not allow myself.
Mm-hmm.
I did not allow myself to, when it comes back to me,
Mm-hmm.
because I am human, it comes back.
Right.
Because if I zero in on it, my emotion starts getting involved in what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I refuse to go there
Mm-hmm.
because I realize all of us are flawed.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to realize, God, I can't hold that against that person because had I not gone through that, I would not be what I am today.
For sure.
The lessons that I've learned.
So it's easy to ask this question to somebody that is kind of in the phase that you are in life, right? But what do you say, or what would you say to yourself 30, 40 years ago, as you, and maybe even more than that, but as you are dealing with the trauma and the hurt, and mind you, what you dealt with was verbal, and
Jesus.
but like, again, I say it again, like there's guys that deal with much more than that, who are looking up to their father figures, who are dealing with, physical abuse, not just verbal, physical, mental abuse. We'll say financial abuse because that's a real thing, and obviously sometimes sexual abuse as well. How can we heal? And I know that there's different tiers for that, but if you could give sort of a general statement to begin your steps to healing.
Well, some people say, well, all you need to do is pray and everything will be all right. No, it's not that. It's not that simple.
I think that's a factor, not the factor.
People go through some deep trauma
for sure,
and sometimes, in my experience, people laying hands on you don't get the job done. Coming to the altar doesn't get the job done. Sometimes you have to go to a therapist.
For sure.
You got to get outside help.
Absolutely.
Because I believe that God places people in this world to help humanity.
Yeah.
Because He loves humanity.
Yeah.
So you have to go to people that can help you. If I was to take myself, well, therapists in my generation was demonized because they feel like, that's the devil. You go into psychiatrist, it was crazy.
But okay, well, I want to put a pin in that. Hold on,
Okay.
because like there's a reason why they thought that.
Is there a reason why? Yeah.
Right, like they thought that, but a lot of times they just didn't know, right? And they had been taught. There's generations of teaching that influenced the way that they taught about external help, because you have some extremes where some Christians didn't even go to regular doctors or ER doctors.
Oh, I was one of them.
What?
Yeah.
Were you? I didn't know it was like that.
No.
You serious?
The first 4 years, my first.
I'm not playing. Like, for real?
The first spiritual father I had a toothache.
Stop.
No, I'm serious.
I don't want to laugh.
I will never forget this. One of the ministers in the church made a dentist appointment for me.
Wait, one of the ministers in the same church?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah, he was a little different. He wasn't strict like that.
Okay.
But he made a dentist appointment for me.
Did he do it? Did he do it in private? Like,
no. He told me he made it. I went to my pastor and he said, "I'll never forget. You don't need no dentist for that tooth." He lay hands on me.
Oh my God. Oh,
I had a cavity the size of the Grand Canyon.
Oh no.
He laid hands on me. You don't need no, all you need is God. God, he prayed for me.
Oh wow.
So
not that okay, hold on. Not that God couldn't do it.
He can do all things. But
right.
He thought he had the gift of healing.
And that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, another day.
Okay,
so he prayed for me that God would heal my cavity. Of course, God did.
I never knew this.
Yeah, and of course, God did not heal my cavity. I was in pain. Mm-hmm. So what I did after he prayed for me.
Wait, hold on. So like, as he's praying for you, what are you thinking with his hand on your forehead?
Well, I was thinking God was going to answer him.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I went to the minister who made the appointment. No. I didn't go to the appointment. So the minister called me and said, "Why didn't you go to the dentist appointment?" I said, "Because the pastor prayed. I believe in God to heal me."
And what did he say?
He said, "You need to go."
So this is one of the ministers in the same church.
Yes.
That made this doctor's appointment.
So when I went,
he's probably looking like,
"What? That's at all."
Wait, were your teeth that bad?
Oh,
sorry, Dad.
My teeth was terrible, and my teeth were bad because my mom could not afford us to go to the dentist on a regular basis.
I understand. Yeah.
So I went to the dentist. He pulled the tooth, and I remember the dentist gave me some pain pills. Okay, so I wasn't going to take these pain pills. God was going to heal. God was going to take the pain away.
Wow.
So I'm suffering, laying there for hours.
Wow.
In pain, thinking God was going to heal my pain in my gum. They cut it out of the pain.
Not that God can't.
Yeah, but
I
was believing God to do so.
Yeah.
Because that's where I was taught.
Right.
So I got to the brother and said, "To hell with this. I'm going to take me a pain pill."
Yeah, as you should.
And as soon as I took the pain pill, I was fine.
You started feeling better, yeah.
Those little things God was beginning to teach me on something. A lot of things. So, yeah, but that's that story.
Gotcha. Thank you for telling that story.
You're welcome. Yeah,
So, as a final word, as we land this plane, talk about healing, because we can't heal what we can't identify. We can't heal what we can't name. When it comes down to the type of trauma that we go through, that we've endured, because sometimes we put a Band-Aid on it and we try to keep it moving.
Yeah.
But that trauma ends up manifesting and showing its ugly face as we get married, as we go to work, as we raise our kids, as we handle our finances. It shows its face everywhere, right? It just kind of pops up. So Um, I guess like I just want to make sure that people know and understand from you, from somebody that dealt with some form or some variation
Yeah.
of a father wound. Like, what's a final statement that you can
Well,
let people
first of
know?
all, you have to understand that you have to come to the point that you're all wounded. Because if you ignore it, what's buried alive stays alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you have to acknowledge it. You have
Mm.
and I think God in his love and his mercy, his grace, kind of lets us realize this is your issue.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
doesn't do that to condemn you. He does that to heal you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of men that are yet today that are carrying a lot of wounds and stuff from their previous father
Mm-hmm.
or father figures in their life,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't realize. But what God does, as I said before, I keep saying it. You get the iceberg. All you see is the top on the water, but underneath is where the whole
The
deal
mass
is.
is, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what God does, God doesn't necessarily deal with the top,
Mm-hmm.
even though He does, but He gets down underneath,
Right.
and He starts, allowing that stuff to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people think of it as being, punishment, or they feel like, well, let me say it this way. If we realize that when those things come up, God is trying to communicate to us. I know everybody doesn't have a kingdom like mindset, church mindset,
Mm.
but I think everybody has that thing that you have to deal with stuff that's on the inside of you because
Sure.
we're human.
Sure. Yes, right. That's right.
We're human. And
Mm-hmm.
so understanding our humanity, and I think that's the key. We don't understand our humanity, especially people that are in the church. We don't understand our humanity. We
Yeah.
are human,
Yeah.
and we carry stuff, man. There's just so much deep stuff in us that only God is the only one that can sort it out because it's too complicated.
Mm-hmm.
We can't sort it out. We can't. God Himself is complicated,
Yeah.
and we are complicated. But
Very
God
much
is the
so.
only one that can work out that complication.
That's right.
So one thing I love about the Lord, He sent Jesus to deal with the complication,
Mm.
to let us know that Jesus was the express image of God. That when Jesus said, "You see me, you see the Father."
That's right.
So if we look at Him, and Jesus was very compassionate, He was lowly at heart, He was
Yeah.
meek,
Yeah.
He understands.
Yeah.
And if we look at Him,
Yeah.
He's able to heal us of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes situations that come up in our life to jar us into like, hey, this is what this is. How you gonna deal with this?
Yeah.
And God, in so many ways, deals with people
Mm-hmm.
in ways I don't know
Mm-hmm.
to bring them to the place where, hey, I'm here. I'm right here.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
You come to me. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And Jesus was the only, I know it's another subject matter, but Jesus came to teach us how to be human.
That is a whole nother subject matter.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And I think, and the Lord understands our humanity
Yeah.
more than we do.
Yeah.
And He knows our condition
Mm-hmm.
far more than we do.
For sure. So to end this or bring this to a close, I wanna say that I appreciate you and I thank you. And I've said it before.
Oh no, I appreciate you, son.
I've said it before, like I appreciate, because you had choices to make as you were raising me, as I made the transition to go to college, like as I made the transition to go to graduate school, because I went to college in Atlanta, like, and then like just in my different phases in life,
Mm-hmm.
you could have, because of what happened to you, you could have perpetuated that cycle, but you didn't. Right. And so I appreciate the fact that, you affirmed me, you supported me, you cheered me on through pretty much every phase of my life. Not pretty much, really, legitimately every phase of my life, you cheered me on. And so even when, I don't know if I made a choice that made you think like, is he going around the wrong path? I don't know.
Honestly, no. If I would have thought that,
You would have spoke up.
yeah, and I would have, because you went to college.
Mm-hmm.
So in your college years, I know you did stuff you had to
I don't know why you keep saying. Why you keep saying that? You keep bringing it
I
up.
don't want people to think you was perfect because you was not.
I wasn't perfect, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but but we always told you. Remember, we would tell you that while you was living with us, if you were doing something crazy,
that you would know, you'll find
and
out.
that never failed. While you was in our house, from what I understand, God always kept us in the light of what y'all were doing, some kind of way. But I know once you left, when I dropped you, oh man, I forget that day. When I dropped you off in Atlanta, I had to drive back by myself.
For my first day, well, you dropped me off for college, yeah.
Yeah. And I dropped you off, and I said, I'm going back and get everything squared away. And I started driving off, and I looked at you in my rearview mirror. I was messed up.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry.
You didn't? It's okay if you did.
I didn't cry.
I'm a crier.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay if you cry.
I didn't cry. But my emotions was all over the place, because I'm leaving my son, and I told God, I said, Lord, I put him in your hands. I can't do no more. I'm putting him in your hands.
Yeah.
And I had a peace that God was going to take care of you and watch over you. I just had that peace. But still, the fact of leaving you, now you're out of my house now, so you're on your own, knowing that at that time what the world was going to present before you, and hoping that you were, mature enough or had enough foundation to stand that whatever was thrown at you. And I must say, you stood.
Appreciate that. It means a lot. That.
And then when you would come home, especially when you and your sister was in college at the same time, y'all would come home. We'd be up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning talking about life around the table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we would.
A glass of wine, because we didn't drink in front of y'all. But yeah, I know. We did.
Y'all didn't start drinking in front of us. And this has nothing to do with the episode at this point. But y'all didn't start drinking in front of us until we were in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were in high school.
Oh, that's right. Because in holidays.
Yeah.
That's right. You're right. Yeah. But we just committed you all into the hands of the Lord. We would pray, my wife and I would pray for you all the time.
Yeah.
And to look at how you all turned out, it's just, we're so grateful how you all turned out. It's
appreciate it.
But I do understand that this story is not everybody's story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm very aware of that. I've heard all types of stories of people, fathers and sons, but for those that maybe had that experience and wanted to reconcile or get back with their sons, it's Jesus, he's the hope, he's the person.
Yeah.
He's the person.
Yeah.
And God loves them.
That's right.
So community is important, fellowship is important, relationships are important. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
To have relationships.
100%.
But I'm very, very proud of you, what you turned out to be.
I appreciate that, Dad.
Yeah. I can't wait to have your sister on here, because she's.
Yeah, we got some stories to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. It only gets better from here.
Yeah.
For sure.
It really does.
Well, with that being said, love you.
I love you too, but I love you more.
I
love you before you got here. I loved you before you came out the womb. I loved you when
Well, okay. What
I
are you
know.
finna?
No, wait a minute.
What are you finna say?
I loved you when your mom.
You keep on going
I know.
further and
I
further
loved you
and
when your
further.
mom.
There's
When
only
your
so
mom
far
gave us,
back you can go.
she gave us the pamphlet. She gave me the pamphlet that she was pregnant.
That's when it started. Okay, that's a good place to.
I just,
Because I didn't want it to keep on going
no,
back.
no, we'll stop. I'm going no further.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. No, Dad, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad that we get a chance to do this.
Yeah.
My prayer is that this is helpful.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah,
Yeah.
we really want. This is why we're doing this, because there is hope.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what the culture says and what it looks like. There is hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and God is he's so gracious. He's so gracious.
Yeah.
Toward us.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of how bad the situation is.
Yeah. For sure. Well, that being said, y'all stay tuned. We got more episodes coming. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad I get a chance to do this with you. Let's keep it rolling.
Oh, definitely. We got to keep it rolling.
For sure.
Got to keep it rolling. Even though, you know, I was reminded when you said I had the Jerry curl. You talking about I look like Lionel Richie?
Yeah, that's a fact.
So,
That's a fact.
Okay.
We'll have to find a picture and prove it.
I have the picture on the fireplace mantle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can sing too? I mean, yeah.
Well, a little bit.
Cheers, Dad.
Love you, sir.
Love you, man.
Love you for who you are.
Likewise.
All right.